von Banawa. Da das Spiel einfach so unglaublich lang ist, werde ich gleich nur noch Hauptstory machen oder meine Nebenstory ab und an mal machen und so, ich hoffe, ihr könnt es verstehen. Wir call it mal a day. Dann mal in die Senior Hall. After finishing lunch, I walked through the school building. Even though it's a holiday, I can see people here and there. Probably the students who are working hard at the club activities. I'm sure the building where the music and arts room are is even more crowded. For some reason I turn around. Nothing particular stands out. The only odd part is the fact that there's no reason to look behind me. I suddenly had an urge to drink some tea and head towards the student council room. I peer into the classrooms from the hall and just as thought I can see several students inside. The hallway is exactly quiet. But behind me it's silent, even though I can hear people's voices from in front of me as I walk ahead. When I turn around, the hallway behind me is completely silent, like someplace else together. There's nothing particular that stands out. There was no reason for me to return. I understand if there was some reason for me to look behind, like if I feel that chill, but just looking back for no particular reason makes me feel uneasy. Ghosts are getting popular lately, and I can see it as becoming one. The story about having an urge to turn around when there's no reason to. The intersects are still closing in, and a lot of students are becoming overly sensitive under stress. These past 4 days have a lot to think about, so I may just worn out without realizing it. The student room came back for another time. I walk down the hall, controlling the frequent urge to look back and leave the school. Okay. Dachte ich mir doch, Ilya. Something's there I can't see, but something's staying close behind me. I stand in the hiding place I can see, but there's no trace of them. I shrugged my shoulders in relief. Warum läuft Ilya? Maybe I'll buy a grapefruit or something on my way home and try imitating aromatherapy. After making a fearless dash for the stairs. I feel like I saw something familiar dash down the stairs. Not completely sure, but that was probably. I don't understand the motive, but may be something behind all this. Even if I try to chase after her, I won't be able to catch up, so maybe it would be best to pretend I didn't see anything and head home. Before I knew, Illy had already gotten to the school gate and was waiting for me there. I'm slightly concerned as to why she's following me around, but would be pretty flaps of me to pray when she's this happy. I Yeah, I feel a bit guilty. It would have been better to show her something more interesting like the gym or the music room than to walk in circles through the hallways.
そっか。俺もまあ面白かったかな。
Or wasn't bored as the very least. I was followed around all morning, and now in the afternoon as well, it seems. Speaking of which, that reminds
い
me.
や、もしかして今日はお忍びか？お城の人に内緒で出てきたとか？
そうよ。いい加減慣れればいいのに。私がいなくなったくらいですぐ大騒ぎするんだもの。本当はいっぱい驚かせる準備してきたのに、二人がいるから全部無駄になっちゃったわ。
Aww.
ああ、それはなんていうか。
I guess I should thank them. The thought of really trying out some new trick at school is rather scary.
お嬢様。
Speak of them with the mace approaching from the courtyard, each running while holding them the hem of her skirt. Immodest, yet somehow cute. Aww.
やはりこちらにいらしたのですね。今後は外出する際にはお声をかけてくださるようお願いいたします。
したくないことはしないって言ってるでしょ。一人で出かけるときは一人でいたいってことよ。そのくらい召使いの配慮しなさい。
Ich kann beide Positionen verstehen.
存じておりますが、こればかりは大旦那様からの言いつけでございます。私どももイリアスフィール様の身に万が一のことがなきよう、微力ではありますが身を盾にしてでも。
ああ、もうそれが目障りだって言ってるの。心配性なのよ、セラは。この町には危険なことなんでちょっとしか残ってないし、それだって私をどうにかできるものじゃないわ。
Und zur Not ruft er für Berserker.
それはおっしゃる通りなのですが、危険というものは何も凶暴な姿をしているだけ。獅子心中の虫という例えもございます。普段は取るに足らない存在でも、ここぞという時に造反されては大事になるかと。
Wait, why is the blue maid looking right at me?
セラの言い分にしては一理あるじゃない。外敵に対して備えはあるけど、内側から攻められた場合は考えていなかったわ。でもそれはそれで面白いかも。
Hold on. I'm asking why you're looking at me like that, young lady.
敵？白敵？
違う、むしろ煮え。どっちかというと被害者に分類される。
Hold the Ataraxia.
しらじらしい。お嬢様をこのような場所に呼び出しておいて何を言うのです。リーゼリット、エミヤ様は敵ではありませんが味方でもありません。今後お嬢様を悲しませるようなことがあれば容赦なく折檻なさい。
Danke. This race is going from bad to worse. From now on, if Ilya ever cries, the enemy resistance can expect a visit from Liz, the hitman, follow right after.
大丈夫。リズはああ見えてセラより節度があるんだから。そうね、シローが相手ならいきなり真っ二つにはしないわ。
You'll be capturing question first, follows a reasoning explanation. Good thing they're still listening, isn't it? Now you have a chance to come up with a good excuse. This is what he seems to me, but it will be okay.
お嬢様、私がリーゼリットより節度がないというのは何かの勘違いかと。お嬢様の教育係を仰せつかっているこの私が知性面でリーゼリットに劣ることはありえません。
うん、セラのが頭いい。ほら、リズのが可愛げあるじゃない。記憶容量の差が知性の差ってわけじゃないわ。セラはもうちょっと愛嬌を覚えるべきよ。
お言葉ですが、私どもに人間らしさなど必要ありません。私たちはお嬢様をお守りできればよいのですから。
ほんと頭固いんだから。まあいいわ。二人とも私を探しに来たのなら用は済んだでしょ。今夜は早く帰ってあげるから。
かしこまりました。それでは失礼いたします。
Sella adheres to Ilya's strict order. On the other hand, Liz looks rather lonely.
またちょっと聞くけど二人ってどうやって城まで帰ってんだ？
商店街のパーキングに車を待たせてあります。お嬢様を送迎するためのものですが、一応私も使用を許されています。
使用って運転するってこと？
当然でしょう。疑うようでしたら運転免許証をお見せしますが。
Ob sie genauso gut fahren kann wie Iri?
ああ、いや疑ってない。驚いただけ。そっか、そうだよな。あの城遠いもんな。ってじゃあイリアがうちに来る時も？
あれ、知らなかった？一人で来るときは私が運転してるんだけど。
Shocking fact has been revealed just now. The private forest land is one thing, but I think that there's actually a mysterious silver-haired girl roaming around public roads. We might be the only ones who don't know about that maybe pretty famous ghost story among the Miyama town street racers.
で、どんな車に乗ってるんだ？バーサーカー？
それは別の世界のスーパーカーよ。じゃなくて、名前はなんだっけ？セラはエンジンの音を聞くたびにワルキューレのゲシュライとかつぶやいて。
イリアスフィール様、あれはメルセデス・ベンツ 300SL クーペ。10年前の聖杯戦争でもアインツベルンのために活躍した名機です。
Yep.
あ、そうそう、そんな名前。ただ走るだけの機械のくせに偉そうなのよね。最高時速は270キロとか言ってるけど、そんなの日本の公道じゃ出せないのに。ほんと呆れちゃう。特注好きというか、夢見がちっていうか、大量生産って言葉が嫌いなのよね、あの国の職人って。
Oh, Mr. Benz, is it? I don't know if this 300SL is famous car with the rich history, but I'm sure it comes with an eye-popping price tag.
じゃあ坂を降りるまでは一緒だよな。ならそこまで一緒に帰ろう。
何を言うのですあなたは。不本意ではありますが、お嬢様があなたと二人きりで帰っても良いとおっしゃっているのですよ。
そうよ、シロ。今日はシロと一緒に下校するんだから、二人には先に帰ってもらわないと。セラとリズがいたらお城の中と変わらないじゃない。
Oh man. Warum geht das Ding weg, wenn ich... Ach so. Jetzt weiß ich, wenn ich es minimiere, geht's weg. Ah, okay, gut.
いや、お城と一緒じゃないだろう。二人で帰るのはいつでもできるけど、みんなで下校するのはめったにないじゃないか。な。だから今日はこのまま帰ろう。長くて登校するたびに嫌気がさす坂だけど、こういう時は役に立ってくれるんだ。は
あ、仕方ないわね。シロがそうしたいって言うなら一回ぐらいは付き合ってあげるわ。行くわよ、セラ、リズ。特別に坂を降りるまで同行をお願いします。
申し訳ありません、お嬢様。お心遣いありがたく頂戴いたします。それとエミヤ様、今回の無礼は夢忘れませんように。
私は嬉しい。
Oh.
ほんと、シロはおバカさんね。二人は私の召使いなんだから気を使ってあげることないのに。私は嬉しい。シロ、いい人。
Harsh words and smiling face telling opposite stories. Ilya heads toward the hill road. Two maids look like they're tending to her back. This is an unusual development, but I guess it's a nice once in a while.
ところで、なんだって俺のことを追い回してたんだ？
なぜお嬢様が学校に向かうのか、その理由を知ろうと思いまして。何がお嬢様の気を引いているのかを知れば今後の参考になりますから。
で、どうしてそれが俺につながるんだ？
身に覚えがないとでも？要因の一端があなたであることは明白でしょうに。あなたの学園生活を解明すればお嬢様を説得する方法も見つかるというものです。
それはつまり俺の失態をスクープしてイリアに売り渡そうと。
理解が早くていらっしゃる。残念ながらこちらが期待した絵は望めませんでしたが。
Unbelievable. This person really sees me as an enemy.
セラ、午前中の指導はどうだったの？
期待外れもいいところです。エミヤ様の行動は退屈極まりないものでした。
お弁当はちょっと手抜き。二人ともシローのお弁当食べたの？私が食べようと狙って
申し訳ありません、お嬢様。出過ぎた真似をいたしました。ですが、あの程度の腕前なら私も研究次第でいつか再現いたします。
セラには無理。アドリブ聞かないもの。あと、つまみ食いばっかりするから太る。太ったセラは見るに耐えない。
Ich mag einfach die beiden Mates.
リーゼリット、あれは味見というものです。私がそのような無作法な真似をすると思っているのですか？
はい。
知らないけど、夜食は控えた方がいいと思う。
なぜあなたがそれを知っているのです？
With Liz's Setter's quote leveling things up, Ilya smiles as she walks down the hill road. I ended up being just extra. This may not be what Ilya had in mind, but I think it worked out the best. There's a few minutes before we reach the intersection. The evening tumult looks like a continue for a while longer. Aww. Exit, restart. Gab es uns ein neues Thema? Es gab auf jeden Fall Geld. Yen. N. I did not expect this. 5. White. I want to help you, the woman said. She was sincere, the frankness of her confession, unclouded by any trace of impure emotion. I brought tears pouring from her eyes as she spoke the words, I wish to free you from your suffering. Which made me feel nothing but pessimism. I felt neither joy or gratitude that she had come to save me. The kindness of hers was misdirected and nothing but an annoyance to me. It wasn't enough to make me despise her, but honestly, I wanted her to ride on along home to her own world instead. This isn't to say that I hated the woman, but the very principles that guided her actions were wrong. She shouldn't have known as well as I did she wasn't going to save anyone. She should have known from the start that it was impossible for her to save me. I responded in a voice you couldn't exactly call a voice. With your throat crushed, it's impossible to make a sound, so I tried shaking my head until I remembered that I couldn't do it that either. Eventually she gave up and went back above ground. She kept up the contest of endurance for days, until gradually she came to realize she was talking to herself. The one her words were addressed to was just a corpse. That's something that happened, apparently. These events hadn't committed to memory in the first place, are now facing in my mind because of the similar emotions now being directed towards me. Doubt and the mercy. The woman who tries to be so fastidious is holding some sort of ridiculous feeling of obligation towards me, even though she doesn't have a shred of proof as to why she should. Baset Fraga Megremitz. The woman who has become Avenger's master now harbors the same misdirected emotions for me as the woman from back then. My heart thundering at a speed of 500% over its usual rate. I barely propel my exhausted body towards the ruins. My throat is burning. The way my leg is aching after I pushed to the limits of my endurance is beyond. It would come as a surprise to hear that I would be busted at. Having used up all Drax's magical energy I received from Baset, my own reserves of strength are starting to come up dry too. Basically, you can say I'm giving up. I can't move another step. I am so tempted to just quit now. The consequences be damned.
何をしている？ここまで走りなさい、アベンジャー。
Baset to reach the ruins. One step ahead of me comes back outside the shots at me. Grasping for parachutes with both hands, I find myself into the building with all the dignity of fleeing puppy. The door slams closed behind me. Of course, some little door isn't worth a fart as far as defense is considering the monster was after us. Having that better at least give us the illusion of security though. Hi, Serka. I can't hear a roar. That must be the big fucker we've got on our tail, destroying everything in his path and as he pursues us through the forest. Running away to a ruin like this won't save us. Once he catches up, he will crush the whole place to powder and both of us along with it. That thing is like a fire's glade. No matter what kind of weapon one is armed with, it's plain to see that no human could cross swords with that and live. In a clearing in the forest, we ran into the monster. Now it would be better to say that it was waiting there for us. Thou sat there like a monolith carved out of stone. The second we set foot into its territory, it let out that roar as it came after us. The battle was over in 1 second. I never had any great desire to pick a fight with that thing in the first place, but after the first shot, even I realized that we couldn't fight it, let alone win. Baset's not one to back down from a fight, but after even Feuerlach failed to score a kill, she wisely gracefully gave the order to retreat. Still, you've gotta hand it to her. To be able to fight even for a few seconds facing the source of that hellish roar took some serious guts. She recovered in no time and fired off Feuerlach while the two monsters' war cries still had me nearly pissing myself. The noble phantasm that seemed to be the type that always on because Feuerlach activated right away. Her aim was true and her shot struck right in his heart, bringing the fat ass down once and for all, or at least that's what should have happened. Instead, it had completely revived 10 seconds later and kept charging straight at us. Back from the brink of death, in perfect health. In other words, a body that knows no death. That's the big fucker's noble phantasm. After she wasted her Feuerlach on it, Baset's whole body went rigid, and with her frozen dust, as the monstrous thing came, bearing it down on her. I personally think it was awfully nice for me to give her a little push out of harm's way via a flying kick on the side. The pain I felt like he hereby barely grazed me, but that was enough to send me flying too. The big guy sights are down on me, standing right in his path, and I look up to see an axe the size of a Grecian pillar raised over my head. To even think about eating a hit from that would be crazy, and my chance of slipping by unharmed was stupidly low. So then, when things were at the darkest, just as I was thinking that this must be what they call instant death. Who should come to rescue, but the very same Bisector would just kick away from the huge thing. She leveled her second fire nach at his face and fired stacking it right between the eyes.
今のうちに逃げます。ついてきなさい。
Seems like she fired her second fire not to kill, but to try and blind it. But even a huge hole in his face didn't stop the monster or the axe it had. So that's when Bisector grabbed me by the hand and made a break for the forest. Throwing off the gloves that Fryalach had burned as she ran, Bisector laid the rune into both legs to her run faster. Me being the compulsive thief that holder that I am, I pick up her trash.
しない。距離を取るから走りなさい。
And seizing me by my scruff of my neck, Bisector took off running. Seeing as how she's the top physical shape to start with, the blessing of runes on top of it allowed her to leave that huge monster behind before you could blink. But even that only gave us few seconds head start. Before its eyes had been finished healing, it was hot on our trail. As surely as though it were tracking us by sand. Muss sagen, das ist für mich echt eine feste Night.
とまあそんな経緯で今に至るわけだけど、なんだね、ここに逃げ込んだところであと数分持たずに追いつかれ殺されるってのが結論だ。
いや、
あれだけ危ないからよそうぜって言ったのにさ、人の言うこと聞かないからこんな目に遭うんだぜ。
Ja, wenn Bisector sich zufälligerweise doch Caliburn aus ihren Arsch zieht und uns einsetzen kann, ja, dann ist er tot.
そのあたり反論あるか、マスター。
敵の戦力を若干甘く見ていたのは認めます。確かにあんなサーバントがいるとは予想外でした。
Bisector's response was a little weak. Maybe like she's regretting it. Compared to a near total silence from the time we entered the forest till now, there's a measurable world of difference. That's good, making it easier for me, but first things
いや
first.
ありゃサーバントじゃねえよ。この森に住むただの怪物だ。サーバントになり損なった亡霊みたいなものだと思いな。
何を言うのです。あれはサーバントだ。この時代の亡霊などではない。宝具も持っていたし、間違いなくアインツベルンのサーバントでしょう。
まあ位置づけ的にはそうなるのか。そっかそっか。競争相手であろうとなかろうと、サーバントはサーバントだったな。
By all rights, trying to figure out what class of servants the monsters could be would be a waste of time. What I need to focus right now, rather than trying to figure out what hell that thing is, it ain't a thing we can do about that big fucker. So for now, let's figure out what we're gonna do with ourselves. Oh Mann.
で、どうするさ。このままおとなしく殺されてやり直すか？それともあのサーバントのマスターを探し出すか？
無論アインツベルンのマスターを探し出します。あのサーバントの周囲にはそれらしい気配はありませんでしたから、アインツベルンの城に潜んでいるのでしょう。
城に潜んでるってのは同感だな。けど城に行くってことはあのデカブツをどうにかするってことだぜ。逃げるのか戦うのか。あんたはどうするつもりなんだ？
アベンジャー、正直に言うと私は敵に背を向けるのは苦手です。戦いを挑まれたのなら 力を持って打ち破るのが私のスタイルだ。
知ってるよ。これでも長く付き合ってきた方だからな。あんたはいつもカツカツで嫌がる俺を平気で負け戦に導入したじゃんか。
それはあなたの能力がルーパーと
Warum
互
sind
換
da
して
hier
るからで
eigentlich
す。
schwarze Dinge?
あなたがもう少しノーマルなサーバントなら私とて無理強いなどしませんでした。
どうだかな。で、今回もやるわけ？どのみちあのデカブツをどうにかしないと城にはたどり着けないんだから。
いいえ、私もそこまで無謀ではありません。今までの戦いは勝算があったからこそ通したことです。ですが、あの相手には勝算はありません。私とあなたでは
Yep.
相性が悪すぎる。
Herakles werde dich besiegen können. I felt out of wizard. Just as I said, we are a really bad match against that ginormous thing. My noble phantom is just no good against it. Aber against him I couldn't survive so much in a single blow. The first strike would be fatal. So if one hit equals death, I can't turn the curse back on him. On the other hand, we could have set counterattack with Fragada, but she can only use it 3 times. Ja, und wie wir auch schon aus Festheit wissen, Herak hat 12 Leben. It's crystal clear, now there was no phantom allows him to rise from the dead. We don't know yet how many times it's good for, but it's likely outnumbers the use of Fragada we got.
それじゃあ戦うってのはなしだな。じゃああとは
追跡を振り切って城を目指すだけでしょう。こちらも目は低いですが、ゼロというわけではありませんから。
She's right about that match. Ja, schlau Ilya anzugreifen. But there's still something pretty big that Bassett overlooking. The monster ain't something you can just ignore. To make it to the castle, we've got to take care of our new buddy
決
somehow.
まりだな。俺はここに残ってあのデカブツを引きつけて、あんたは一人で城に向かう。オーケー、それなら半々だ。あんたの足ならコースアウトでもしない限りきっと城にたどり着ける。ここからアインツベルンの城は北西に15キロほどだ。
Okay.
軍を刻む悲壮は残ってるか？残ってるな。なら問題なしだ。俺が稼げるのはせいぜい1分程度だが、あんた一人だけならそれを10倍にできる。
アベンジャー、私はそんなことは命令していません。私はあなたと城に向かいます。
無茶言うな。そっちの方が俺にはきつい。正直あんたの足にはついていけねえんだよ。ここまで逃げてくるのが限界でさ。こっちから先俺の足に合わせてたら間違いなく追いつかれるぜ。
それはあなたの精神が弱いからです。気合を入れなさい。その気になればまだ走れるはずだ。あなたはいつも諦めが早すぎる。
She really hit me with her thoughts. Bassett's quite gusty lady.
そりゃあまあ意地を張れば少しは働けるけど、それでもあんたのスピードについていけないのは本当なんだが。
まったく。なら戦力として考えません。いざとなれば霊体化して私についてきなさい。
Well, ain't that clear-headed opinion. Doing it won't do a thing to help either of us though. So how are we gonna get out of this one? Any other time we would both just go about playing the part that works best for us. Simple as that. The reason we can't do that now is because it's just that someone over there is misunderstanding things in the most boring ass way possible.
らしくないぜマスター。霊体化して俺だけ助かってどうなる？マスターが殺されたら俺たちはそれで終わりなんだぜ。ならどう考えても足の遅いお荷物を足止めにしてあんたは任務達成するべきだろう。
いや、あなた、いや、いればいい。
私はあなたを荷物などと言った覚えはありませんが。
俺がそう思ってんの。何しろ本当に自分一人じゃ動けないからな。
I stick out my left leg to make a point. It was reduced to kibbles and despised by the giant ape when he charged us. That a fourth regular spirit like me managed to make it all the way here on my own power after that is pretty damn impressive, if I do say so myself. Yep, the ghastly way ain't nothing to sneeze at.
ダメだ。それなら私も残ります。ここであのサーバントを倒す方を取る。私は一人では進まない。ここであなたを置き去りにすることはできない。
Determined, but still doubtful. It's definitely not because of any feeling of affection. It was the same hand as the one who reached out of me. And I guess you're so severely
そ
mistaken.
れは同情から
いえ、同情なんてしていません。ただその傷には私にも責任がある。だから置き去りにするぐらいなら
それは違う。いいかマスター。あんたは今自分の目的を果たすためではなく、それはまあ俺からしてみれば悪いことじゃない。助けてもらえるんなら助けてもらいたいけどさ、その動機が負い目から来たものなら
Ich mag die beiden, sie sind ein gutes
それは
Paar.
置き去りよりたちが悪いことなんだ。
負い目ですって？
そう、同情とか憐憫とかそういうのいいかい、人間のお嬢さん。絶望にいるものを救おうとするのなら、負は生でなければ打ち消せない。悲しみに陥ったものを悲しみで救い上げても癒されないものがあるんだよ。まあれだな、救った後のデイケアまで受け持つってんなら話は別だが、人間そこまで暇なやつは稀だからな。やっぱり助けるんならどっちにとっても得になる理由じゃないと損ってことだ。
Wicked laugh. In the distance, I hear a monster howl. But sits there fixated. Possessor fixedly at me, her face
わ
blank.
かりづらかった？なら例えばの話をしよう。ある場所に世界で一番不幸な目に遭っているやつがいるとする。ある日あんたはそいつのことをニュースで知って落ち込んじまうんだが、それは意味のない干渉なんだ。遠い世界の話には関われない。自分には関わりのないところで誰かに不幸な出来事が起きたとしても、あんたは笑っていろ。
That's right. To try to save someone who doesn't exist in your own world would mean to deny that world of yours. That's the logic this world operates on. Something that doesn't even bear mentioning. Unrelated humans, unobject humans, affirm every misfortune and sorrow by that alone. The inequality cannot be overthrown. So why not just accept the happiness that built on someone else's sacrifice? Even for the truly ugly and wretched life, if you're among the blessed, all of you can do is smile and accept that it's yours. That's just how it is. Otherwise, it's all for nothing. Live out your whole life opposite the contradictions and the ugliness that a proper human should do. A human can save anyone except himself. Saving another person solely for that other person's sake is no better than an excuse worthy of death. Such lip service can save anyone. But if even then you still believe you can save another, if you're still chirping stuff like, I want to save another.
そうだ。それでも何かをしたいというのなら、せめて笑いながら救いに行け。見捨てられないから残るとか、そうだから戻るとか、そういうのは余計なお世話だ。一緒に苦楽を共にしようなんて間違っても抱くなっていうことでさ。
All she needs to share with me is the joy. Coming to save me by bringing me sorrow would be nothing but a pain in the ass. What I want is no question asked, fairy tale ending. Peace and love to exceed even the days of nothing but loss. That's right. For example, like dark and sunken eyes. Seeing a bright and shining future, in an outstretched hand. Oh.
アベンジャー、あなたは
ああ、いや、脱線しちまったな。ズバッと言うと、さっさと行けってこと？どうせ死んでもまた顔を合わせるんだ。同情で死なれたら気まずいじゃねえか。ほら、アインツベルンのマスターに話があるんだろ。さっさと要件を済ませてこいよ。俺は先に戻ってるから。
The storm is coming closer. We'll better able to chat post haste before he shows up.
なんだ、まだ何か言わないとダメか？
いいえ、十分です。私のために敵の足止めをお願いします、アベンジャー。
あいよ。じゃ、ちょっくら気合い入れて出迎えるわ。あんたは裏から出ていけよ。
Waving my hand to my sets, I venture outside. Once she's made up her mind about something, she won't waste a moment's effort on anything unnecessary. She's already forgotten all about me and is running at full throttle straight to the castle by now. The Einspell servants will be here any moment, any minute. I pulled my set's glove. They're picked up from the ground onto my right hand. It's pretty much useless as a glove after Faggot reduced it to sinners, but what the hell, it might at least make for a good luck charm.
さて、今度こそ真っ二つか。だから来たくないって言ったのにな。
The weakest under attack, but the strongest this is. There are way too many matchups like this in the Holy Grail War thing. God damn it. I feel sorry for Ian. In the land, I left him behind. I allowed him to remain there in a place where he was certain to be killed, and raced into the forest alone. I feel no debt towards him. As I said, this was the natural choice. A female should be played like a pawn, sacrificed to protect this king, using one's servant as a shield to prolong your own life as a matter of course. If I'm going to feel indebted to him, it should only be if I fail to reach the castle. I should fail to live up to the chance at victory he gave me throughout his service devotion, then and only then. I've already grown accustomed to this, and I do understand. Furthermore, even if Avenger were to die, he will return to life again. Even if he killed out here, he will return to this first night again. Nothing to lose, and nothing to regret. Just as before, I, as a Magus of the Association, shall conduct myself in a manner befitting my reputation as a first-rate agent. And yet, I feel more pain than usual. These feelings of sentimentality, which I felt once before, now seem to grate against my heart as I grit my teeth in discomfort. In irritation towards both him and myself, I find myself indiscriminately destroying everything in my path. The darkness of the night, the multitude of trees, and even the castle now visible beyond the forest. It feels like I would try to shoot them down if I lacked my grasp of myself, even for a moment. However, it's not those voiceless objects that I want to destroy the most, but...
そうか、
Yes, I
私も
have left him behind. All of a sudden, I find myself want to apologize to all of those unknown things, even if it was the natural choice, even if he told me to do so by himself. The way I treated him was worse than any hatred or betrayal. The castle gate stands wide open, with other moments pause. I hurry inside. I may have left the monster far behind me, but in the likelihood I still have no more than 5 minutes to spare. I must locate the Ataraxia master and force the surrender right away. Which is why I need to calm down and give her my wits. My goal isn't to do away with the master, but to have a few uncertain points clarified. I must ask the master Einspell, the family acting as a cornerstone of the Holy Grail War, and say to know more about the Holy Spirits than any other, about the mystery of those 4 days. I stormed the entrance to the castle foyer. They should have known we were here the moment we engaged the monster combat. No need for stealth now.
近い。2階正面。
As I ran towards the staircase, I put on a spare pair of leather gloves. I'm in the thick of enemy territory now. It wouldn't be strange to find a blade at my neck at any moment, and A strike could come from any direction. An anachronistic long-handled weapon comes swinging down towards me, a halberd. Dodging that deadly ancient weapon, the style of which was beginning to fall out of the favor even among the knights of the Holy Church, I jumped back out of the way.
侵入者イリアをいじめに来たのなら帰れ。
Aww. A voice free of emotion, wielding a weapon that must weigh in excess 40 kilos, as though if it were lighter than a feather. No, the offer this in her moves, after she doesn't feel the weight at all. There's no room for that. This must be one of the thinly honored battle usage synthetic humans of the Icebands. Are you monkeless?
帰らないなら仕方ない。
Perhaps picking up on my own rate in this battle, the monkeys raise the halberd into the air. There's no time and try to gouge her ability as to take her down with her first strike. This is the second time I've faced off against an Iceberg made homunculus, the formidable opponent. Thought she may be, I also know her limit. The second time? A flurry of attacks and the defensive counters leaves us still facing off against one another. Her strikes to halberd are like those of a child in a play sport fight. She has nothing to depend on but brute strength. But in addition to that, her raw power is otherworldly as we superhuman, transforming her into a force of nature in battle. Though not on the level of the monster out there. One blow from his homunculus would be more than enough to fatally wound me. I doubt it would likely shatter every bone in my body. Even by purring the gale level force of her attacks, I managed to land 7 more of the punches on her, and now each one contained enough power to have blown her internal organs out of through her back. Not so much as a flicker of pain shows on the face of the homunculus. Ja, was kein Schmerz fühlt. I don't know whether the maid uniform of hers is some kind of superbly code, or whether she simply doesn't feel pain at all. At any rate, I'll have to break this homunculus' bones to bring her to a standstill. The fire of battle in the homunculus dies down. Her face expressionless as it was filled with a strong drive, suddenly drains of his former
そこま
tenderness.
でよ、リズ。私のお客様なんだから、丁重にもてなしなさいと言ったでしょ。
A young girl on top of the staircase, her hair white as snow.
こんばんは、見知らぬお客様。
Ah. Ich kriege Gänsehaut bei dieser Szene. Ilia-chan.
私はこの城の主、イリアス・フィール・フォン・アインツベルン。このような夜更けにどんなご用件でいらっしゃったのかしら。
This girl ushers me instead of a polar grace that perfectly complements her loveliness. This girl is the Iceberg Master. There's definitely a strong magical aura surrounding her. The amount of magical energy her body holds is simply phenomenal. A being beyond human, a natural-born magic circuit. There's no mistake, this girl too is a homunculus crafted by the hands of the
あ
Icebands.
ら、せっかく出てきてあげたのにご挨拶もなし。魔術協会の魔術師は礼儀がなっていないのね。お話をする気がないのなら早々に城を後にしてくださいな。
She jiggles. Even though she knows that I'm a master, there's no trace of caution in her. It's almost as if she never saw me as a worthy opponent from the start.
失礼しました。私はバゼット。魔術協会から派遣されたマスターです。ここにはマスターとしてやってきました。
それは存じていますわ。森でサーバントと出会ったでしょ。それで もしかしたらやってきたのはあなたかなって。
Dass mich so richtig das erste Treffen von Shiro und das zweite für Shiro und ihr, also das erste Treffen von Berserker und Shiro. In Fate sind dann die Blackworks und Heaven Steel.
他のマスターたちは間違ってもここにはやってこないから、ようやく来てくれたのかなって喜んでいましたの。
は？
Her smile is so carefree. My first impression of her could have been of the mach. There's no condescension in the girl's manner. She simply doesn't view me as an enemy.
そうよ。私はあなたと戦う気はないわ。他のどのマスターとも戦う気はない。私はもうマスターでも何でもないんだもの。
Oh! Sie ist kein Master
あ
mehr?
なた以外のマスターはみんなそれを知ってるから、こんな森にはやってこないの。
Das ist interessant. She's not a master? What does this mean?
下がりなさいリズ。バゼットは私と話がしたいみたい。森からお化けが入ってこないよう城門を閉めてきて。
いいけど、イリア、本当に大丈夫？
いいの。バゼットと二人で話したいんだから。リズ、最近生意気よ。あんまり私に逆らわないで。
Oh
リ
Mann!
ズ、イリアの言う通りにする。
The Mucus could list exits past me without as much as a watchful glance in my direction, as though a fierce battle a few months ago never took place.
さあ、あなたはこっちよ、バゼット。私と話をしに来たのでしょ。
The girl descends the stairs and disappears into the far end of the lobby. Still reeling slightly from the completely unexpected turn of events, I take her up on the invitation.
事の顛末は知っているわ。あなたは私の森に入ってきて、お化けに襲われて、自分のサーバントをおとりにして、ここまでやってきた。目的はアインツベルンのマスターを倒すことと、それ以外に知りたいことがあったから。違う？そうでもなければ、こんな忘れられた城に挑もうとは思わないもの。
The girl calmly lowers herself with a chair, but I declined when I offered a seat of my own. Even if she proclaims disinterested in fighting me, this place is still enemy territory. I can't know for certain that she won't make his whole room disappear with a snap of her fingers.
用心深いのね、バゼット。教会の教えなのか、それともそういう性格なのか。ねえ、あなたって敵地じゃお茶も飲まないタイプ？
場合によりますが、ここでは飲みません。あなたの言う通り、私は知りたいことがあってきた。
そう、残念ね。それじゃお茶の用意は取りやめるわ。要件だけ済ませる方があなたには喜ばれそうだし。
Ja? Is this girl really the Einspire Master, beginning to doubt her anew? No. If what she said about no longer being a master is true, then she really is not a master
イ
at
リア
all.
スフィール、あなたはマスターではないと言いましたが、森にいた巨人はあなたのサーバントではないのですか？
あのお化けは私のサーバントよ。けどアインツベルンのサーバントじゃないわ。ちょっとした手違いで狂っちゃったの。今じゃ聖杯戦争とは関係のない、私を守るだけのお化けになっちゃった。街に現れている怪物とは違うけど、同じようなものと思えばいいわ。彼は聖杯戦争には何の関わりもない、この森にやってくるマスターを殺すだけの怪物。サーバントでありながらサーバントの役からあぶれてしまった
Ich nehme mal
形
an,
のない亡霊なの。
er wurde bei Angra rausgekickt aus der Position, weil... Ah,
役からあぶれた。
ええ、該当する役回りがなかったからちゃんとした出番を与えられなかったの。彼がアインツベルンのサーバントならあんなことにはならなかったでしょうけど。
あの怪物はアインツベルンのサーバントではないと。
いないわ。だって私他のマスターにサーバントを取られちゃったんだもの。も
Ich,
うマスターじゃないってそういうこと。
Avenger. Avenger ist der Einspann-Servant.
「聖杯戦争が始まってから4日目の夜にあっけなくサーバントが殺されてアインツベルンのマスターは敗北したの。あなたのサーバントだってアインツベルンは脱落したって一番初めに知ってたはずよ。
My mind freezes. I eventually knew that the Einspann Master has been defeated. Not that it comes as a surprise. The number of things he's keeping secret from me could fill volumes. I don't trust this guy at all, so this news is hardly enough to shock me. What I find more strange is...
どうしたの？何か気になることでもあったのかしら。
She jiggles. The girl, she knows
ユリ
everything.
アス・フィール、その他のマスターに取られたというあなたのサーバントは。
あら、知らなかったの？彼の名はアベンジャー。アンリマユの名を冠する最も古い悪神よ。
Yeah. With a great sound, my consciousness distorts. My first unconscious closes around the earring in my pocket. After laboring to calm my suddenly raged breathing, I
そ
say,
れはおかしい。アベンジャーなどというクラスは聞いたことがない。第一、アンリマユの名を冠する英霊など存在するはずがない。
I felt put into words a question that haunted me ever since this all began.
もちろんアンリマユなんてものは実在しない。アベンジャーとして召喚されたそれはアンリマユという呼称を語るただの人間だ
A
ったわ。
mere human.
神話に現れる悪神とは何の関係もない魔術も神秘も知らない一般人。理由もなく偶像に選ばれてその一生を魔として扱われたただの生贄だったのよ。
A fairy tale, a far off distant world. Once there existed people who, distraught by all the strife that had come to be in the world, created themselves a new world isolated deep in the mountains. But though they had gathered together in the hopes of living as an embodiment of man's innate goodness, they were unable to divorce themselves from evil. Nature also inherited in man, doubt and deception, hatred and resentment. No matter how gloriously they sang the praise of human good, evil was still born among them. So they decided someone had to shoulder the blame for the ugliness of the world. The evil was not something that could have been from within any of them. They themselves had this evil in their nature couldn't be true. The evil of mankind steals from the venom of something demonic which comes to infect us. We must all lead lives of purity and righteousness. Therefore, they require the root of all evil. They required an effigy to bear with the weight of all sin. Someone whom it could be said, it is only you who is evil. And as a scapegoat was created to become all the evils in the world and lowest sacrifice.
英霊の中には時々そういうのが混じっているの。本人は普通に生きたつもりでも死後周りがその生き様を神格化して立てまつり英雄を作り上げるのね。死者は何も語らないから都合のいい役を押し付けても文句を言わない。疑いを知らない善良な人々が信じるには
Yeah.
学校の崇拝対象よね。ただ彼の場合はそれが同すぎていた。人々の崇拝が怒りや憎悪だったからかしら。彼は本物の悪魔として扱われ 人々はあらゆる非難を彼に押し付けた。貧困、病、災害、果ては自分が死んでしまうことへの恐れさえ彼がいるから起こるのだとなじられ、はけ口にされた。けどそれで人々は救われたの。そういう悪魔がいるなら仕方がないって。嫌なことは全部そいつのせいで、自分たちのせいじゃないんだからって。
Der arme Angerer.
だから彼は死後に英霊として扱われた。その手は何もしなかったし、誰に敬われることもなかったけど、彼は多くの人々を救ったから。
While he still lived, he became a god. But he still lived, he had his human nature taken away. The name he was given at birth was stripped from him, and he was spoken of as a great evil.
だから名前はないんだ。
He spoke of it as tough, it were trifling manner.
思い出せと言われても、もうそんな記録は。
Anyone in this world anymore, he declared without a trace of resentment. In response, your next name was one that you were fondly called as a hero. Even if it's a title, it is a name that gained acclaim from people. Of course, you would like it. How could I have never said such a thing?
それがアベンジャーアンリ・マユという悪性に見立てられた人間ということですか。
そうよ。けど能力の方は点でダメ。彼はアンリマユとして扱われることにはなったけど、信仰だけで特別な力がつくわけじゃない。彼は生前も英霊として扱われることになった死後も、まあ名前はベスターから除外されたことで秩序からは自由になったけど、それでも英霊と呼ばれるには点で力不足。サーバントとしては何の役にも立たないゴミだったわ。
Der schlechteste Server, den es gibt.
何？いきなりやる気になっちゃって。私を殺しても利益はないのに、あなた見かけによらず危ない人？
Now that she stated that Julius had been sleeping with Angel. What the girl said wasn't far off the mark. It's true that a heroic spirit. He's incredibly weak, and at first I did think he was useless, but that was only due to my lack of understanding at the time, and the fact that it's hard to grasp his good
いい
points.
え、私の時は本当に役立たずだったのよ、ロゼット。彼が人々の望んだ英霊になるのはもっと後のこと。彼にかけられた願いが成就するまでは無力なまま、宝具の一つも使えない。
No noble phantasm? No, does she mean that he couldn't use his noble phantasm while he was the Iceman servant? This does that up. The Iceman girl whose servant was taken away. If he was taken, that would make me be the one who took him. About this there can be no mistake. I don't have the first idea how I was able to usurp the contract from her, but it seems that this girl contract with Avengers was switched with mine. So then what does the death of the fourth day signify? Being taken away is not the same as dying. The girl is talking about multiple conclusions at once.
いなくなった私のサーバントの話なんていいでしょ。それよりあなたのサーバントの話が聞きたいわ、バゼット。魔術協会に選ばれたあなたですもの。さぞ巧妙な英霊を召喚したんでしょ。
いえ、私のサーバント。
Avenger was going to say, but hesitated before my mouth could shape the words. Especially because I'm the one that she said took him from her. But on top of that, I can't shake the feeling that she's lying to me about something.
私のサーバントは？
別にマスターで亡くなったあなたに話すことでもない。
He's already long dead. Right when I arrived at his castle, all response from Avenger ceased. He's already returned to the first night, and there he waits for me to awaken, just like always.
そうだ。それが彼の能力だ。
To be reborn even from death. Now to start over for the first day when we were still alive. which means the girl before my eyes must already know all about his ability to rewind.
イリアス・フィール、アベンジャーは宝具を使えなかったと言いましたね。それは
何の話だか分かりませんけど、そのどちらも使えなかったでしょうね。言ったでしょ、アベンジャーは役に立たない道具だったって。
So this must mean the Iceberg Master knows nothing at all about the various noble phantasm. Never mind, Avesta, his ability to resurrect from the dead far surpasses even other noble phantasms. There's just no way anyone who's experienced that power firsthand could summarily dismiss him as
そうで
useless.
すね。アベンジャーの話などしても仕方がない。本題に入りましょう、イリアス・フィール。あなたはこの聖杯戦争をどう感じていますか？
さあ、私はとっくに仲間外れですもの。もう聖杯戦争に興味はないわ。すでに終わったことですし。
町に現れている使い魔たちも知らないと？
知らないわ。言ったでしょ、私は仲間外れ。でも
Yeah.
そうね、あの怪物たちが街にあふれるのは今夜までよ。始まってから今日までの4日間しか。
It came up again, another link to the period of 4 days. My search for clues relating to what was originally brought me here
イリア
tonight.
ス・フィール、これは私のサーバントの能力なのですが。
I tell her with a certain conviction of all that has happened so far. The birth from death, the endless restarting of the Holy Grail War. No, that's not it. About my servant and I, who no matter how many times we repeat them, cannot move beyond these 4 days.
聖杯戦争を繰り返している。あなたにはそう感じる。いいえ、あなたたちだけとどまっているのね。
We are the others who are confined, she says, right in saying that. Viewed from the perspective of the girl who cannot rewind, the 4th day will be followed by 5th. But the 2 of us must return to the 1st day. We are standing in the middle of the vast river called time, never moving downstream from where we stand, and going back upstream again and again.
あなたはそれを解決しに来たのね。聖杯戦争を止めて4日目を超えたいと。
いや、私はただ。
I haven't the slightest desire to stop the Grail War. I only want to know for a certain best boundary of 4 repeating days confines us as it does.
違うの？なら何がしたいの？あなたは。今のままじゃ永遠に。
No, all I want to win is this abnormal Holy Grail War and fulfill the duty I was sent here.
そう。サーバントとの契約を切るのなら手を貸すこともできるけど、そっちの問題は管轄外よ。言ったでしょ、私は仲間外れだって。私、この城から出る気はないの。あなたの聖杯戦争がどうしてそんなことになったのか、それを調べられるのはあなただけよ、バゼット。
The girl rises from her seat. Electric moves through the lobby as far she lost all interest
お
in
や
me.
すみなさい、バゼット。あなたの話が本当なら今夜でまた戻るんでしょ？それまで城にいるといいわ。今夜は星が綺麗よ。せっかく一人になったんだから、あなたは何がしたかったのか、本当にその違和感を解決してしまっていいのか。
I leave the winter castle behind me. I refuse the girl's offer. Even in the forest, I do encounter the monster and my defeated sense. I still can't simply stay here passing the time and tranquility all by myself. I should set the skies remarkably clear. While gazing up the countless number of stars overhead, I think of him. The one who doubtlessly play with something sarcastically. How can it be countless if you can't see them? If you can count them? If you were
ど
here.
うして4日で終わるのかではなく、どうしてそんなことになったのかを知るべきだ。
The rewinding ability isn't a very noble phantasm. You remember him having said so himself. There was simply special bonus from him if he held a contract with me. What did he mean by special bonus? If this is the noble phantasm, I ask myself, then just what kind of miracle could make this possible? A wish-granting magic vessel. I did neither answer. It rises to the surface of my
ア
mind.
ベンジャーは信用できない。私は私のできることをするだけだ。
That's it. Next time I go outside into the town during the day, while he sleeps. Avenger is incapable of action during daylight hours, but I myself have no such restriction. Also, I'm avoiding going out during the day. Thus far, it's not as tough as I'm a vampire or anything of
と
the
いう
sort.
気の魔術師遠坂とマト、それに前回生き残ったエミやキリツ。
About that, he's dead. If I'm going to take action, then I'll start from there. Keeping it quiet for my servant, and we go out into the town. Once again, I feel unnecessary pain in my chest. It would have been so much better if I truly couldn't trust him. Because I want to believe in him, I'm hiding things from him and seeking out the truth. Next, Forest. Okay, das war eine lange Szene.
「リーゼリットの獲物ハルバート」RPG でもおなじみの斧付きの長僧ね。こういうヘンテコウェポンの解説はあんたに譲るわ。
いいのか？
任せた。
いいだろう。引き受けた。不相ハルバートは見ての通り突く、切る、叩くの機能が考えられるが、その性能は通常の槍、剣、斧に比べれば大きく劣る。この武器は相手の姿勢を崩し、もっぱら転倒を誘うことに特化している。要はとどめを刺せる状態を作り出そうとするものだ。刃先の形状によっては馬上の敵を引きずり落とすのにも向く。その用途においては本来扱いやすい武器な。しかしこのハルバートは度を超えている。第一に人間が振り回せる重量ではない。まさに人外の武器だ。理性的なサーバントが手にしたならば非合理と判断しすぐに放棄するだろう。徒手空拳で戦った方がマシだ。だがこれを握るのはアインツベルンのホムンクルスなのだ。彼らは疲労を知らず、旅力はサーバントに匹敵する。いや、単純な比較では凌駕するだろう。
Wow!
しかし、その脅威はまた別のものだな。一見この不相は白間を飾るアンティークを模しているようだが、アインツベルンの最新の技術が用いられているのは間違いない。様々な魔術特性も付与されているのも無論だ。ことに彼ら人造人形が様々な武器、あるいは宝具を持つ相手と対峙する可能性を考えたならば、その武器は切れ味よりも強靭性を、すなわち打ち合い、しのぎ勝つことに重点を置かれて鍛えられていることだろう。
攻める防具とはまさに矛盾。
うん。となれば、その素材にふさわしきは戦車の鉄鋼弾などに使用されるタングステン鋼だが、それよりも優れた金属がある。レニウムだ。レニウムはタングステンと比べて
Ich hätte nicht erwartet, dass es so lange dauert.
この際、それは問題となるまい。ラインガーの名に由来するというこの金属を主体とする合金はタングステンの強靭を上回る。バランスを度外視した人工人形にはまさにうってつけだ。
Eine perfekte Waffe.
そんなに重いの？
とてつもなく。比重は実に鉄の3倍だ。鉛や黄金よりも重い。そんな白兵武器の打撃を想像できるか？いや、できまい。敵の判断を誤らせるには それのみでも十分だ。一見華奢にも映る人造人形が人類の戦士にない未知の武具を振るう。これがいかに恐怖を駆り立てるか。
まるでたった今果たし合いを済ませてきたかのように語るのね。
いや、そういう武器があったら夢があると心を遊ばせてみたまでだ。
Dann mal. Gute Nacht, liebe Leute, und bis zum nächsten Stream.